Mark, why ennui in French and not bored in English? It's really, I like the character. It's so funny.
That's one of the reasons. It's so funny. Ennui is a French word, and we looked into the history of that word and what it means and where it came from. And it comes from like French aristocracy, the children that had everything and were kind of bored of life because they had everything they could ever want. But it's also just a really funny emotion that we see a lot. Kelsey and I are both fathers of teenage daughters, and we see that emotion in our kids. It seemed like a very teen emotion to have, and because it's a French word, we thought it would be fun to have her have a French accent. It also makes her a little more sophisticated because these new
Yeah.
emotions showing up and make joy in the others feel a little like they're old school.
Tell me,
Great.
Kelsey, how was the process to choose these new Riley's emotions as a teenager?
Yeah, it was hard. Although I will have to say, I was drawn to anxiety immediately. I started by making a list of all the possible. I knew I wanted new emotions to show up, but I'm like, okay, which ones? So I just like let me make a list, and I wrote down all of these options of what we could do, and I immediately got drawn to anxiety. Uh, Maybe it's because she was at my console a little bit too. I don't know. Maybe that's why. Because I feel like I can relate to it. I'm like, oh, I think I could tell a story about anxiety, and I think a lot of people could relate to that too. It's been a while since I've been a teenager, and so I did my research on it, and I found that anxiety was on the rise in teenagers, especially teenage girls, when I began, and that was January of 2020. So that was pre-pandemic, man. It was already like becoming an issue, and then we went into the pandemic, and it went on the rise, and not only them, but for everyone, including.
Mark, do you think the message of the movie is more important to parents or to kids?
I think it's an important message to all ages. It really is, because these are emotions that everybody has, whether you're a kid, whether you're a teenager, whether you're an adult. And it really hopefully opens up conversations in families about what it takes to manage these more complex emotions that come on. So we really did seek to make a very universal story that would play for all ages. And we made it very adventurous and full of humor as well to make sure everyone would want to be on the ride.